I would like to acknowledge that this video is being filmed on the traditional lands of the Wurrundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander or First Nations people who may be watching this video today. Hi guys, happy Friday, happy start of another reading vlog. This is going to be 2022 anticipated releases vlog, so I'm just going to read some books that have come out so far this year that I haven't picked up yet, and yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to do for the weekend. Ignore the peace lily that has decided that it wants to sulk and I need to water it. So that's first thing on today's list of things to do. I just got home. It's been a really long week. Ignore the laundry in the background as well. So yes, this week has been tough. Just some things going on with a couple of the kids that's making it really challenging at the minute, and every day, you know, that I come home and I'm, you know, I've survived is a good day. We're gonna reading vlog this weekend up, and yeah, I will talk to you guys soon about the actual books I'm planning on reading and all that sort of stuff. But I want to show you my outfit of the day because I was very shiny today in my silver skirt and it made me happy. I'm just waiting for dinner to finish cooking. I'm having lasagna, so I am catching up on Heather's video and some other YouTube. May have gotten slightly distracted by things on Etsy, but now I am catching up on YouTube and lasagna should be done in 2 minutes. Lasagna is here. I did not make this, it's just from the supermarket and I literally just shoved it in a bowl, so it looks a little bit deflated, but you know what, I'm just gonna eat it, so it doesn't really matter what it looks like. Okay, so I've just been going through my potential reads for the weekend, and this first section are things that have come out already. The second section are things that I have but haven't been released yet, and I've just separated them out again, so now the first section are things that were actually on my anticipated reads list at the start of the year. So I think that's where I'm going to start. I definitely want to read the Ava Lee book this weekend, but I would also really like to read Only a Monster by Vanessa Len, which is a young adult fantasy romancy type thing. It's by an Australian author and I've heard some good things and some key words about it, so I'm intrigued. And while I don't read YA, I will prioritize Australian YA. But I think tonight I'm going to start with The Good Girl's Guide to Rakes, which is a historical romance. Pretty much the only historical romance author that I will no longer now even look up any other information about is Ava Lee. So yeah, fingers crossed that it's good. I should say there is another book that I haven't put on this list, mostly because I'm waiting to see if Brie wants to read it, because it's another Alexis Hall book that I have a NetGalley copy for. But if she wants to read it, then I'm going to save that for reading with her rather than putting it into this video. Let's go read an Ava Lee book. This one is a little bit slower to start than some of the other Ava Lee books that I've read. However, I just came to a scene that I utterly adore. So I figured I'd stop and just, you know, ramble a little bit. So this is about Kieran, who is the youngest son, I think, of his family and a notorious rake. And he and his next oldest brother, he's one of three, the book starts with them at the church for the wedding of their sister. And she is marrying their best friend, Dom. And yet both of them appear to be completely dreading this wedding. And so Kieran and Finn go and talk to Dom, and then they convince him to run away, basically leaving their sister at the altar, which then, of course, sets a whole bunch of things into motion, including the fact that their families now decide that these three gentlemen have, you know, 12 months to reinstate their reputations and find a reputable marriage match. Obviously, being a notorious rake, Kieran is really not quite sure how to go about this, but then he thinks of Dom's younger sister, Celeste, who has been known to be a young woman of very good standing. Dom and Celeste's family are new money, so they're tolerated in society, and so Celeste has to work especially hard to be accepted. And so he proposes that she help him, you know, retrain his reputation. And at first she disagrees, and then something happens and she is basically being promised to someone, and her father is disregarding her passions and the things that she cares about. And so she reneges and decides to take Kieran up on his offer in order to get him in to all of the very upstanding parties and gatherings in London. She wants him to take her to some of the London underbelly and all the things that she's not allowed to attend. And this scene takes place in a bakery, and he's just asked for proof that she has got what it takes to go into gambling hells and all of that sort of thing, and not give away her persona like he believes she's a goody two-shoes. And there's a woman in this bakery who's making a fuss and using her position to belittle and undermine the staff of the place. And Celeste just happens to write down this message on a piece of paper and surreptitiously place it on the woman's plate without being seen. Basically, she has, you know, delivered an ultimatum that says, stop being such a pain in the ass to the staff, or I will reveal to your husband that you are having an affair. And it is the best scene. I really like Celeste. She's such a good character, and I'm only like 20% of the way into the book, and this is really good. So I finished The Good Girl's Guide to Rakes by Ava Lee, and that was really fun. It's not my favourite Ava Lee, I have to say. Like, Waiting for a Scot Like You is still my absolute favourite of her books. But this one was just fun, and I enjoyed it. And it does deal with, just, you know, for pre-warning for people who want to read it, classism. There's some blackmail in it. And because Celeste's family is, you know, new money, they've sort of worked their way out of poverty, and there is some reference made to that because Celeste is really community minded. She wants to go back to the old town where she grew up, and she wants to help the community and teach people and the kids in the community how to read. So you do have those elements in there if that's something that you're thinking about. You know, aside from that, it's a historical romance. It is a brother's best friend romance. There's an arrangement between Kieran and Celeste as they try and get what they want, and they stand up for each other, and it's just amazing. I really enjoyed it. It was good fun, well worth a read. Found out the second book comes out in September, so I'll keep an eye out for that one, and that one follows Kieran's older brother Finn, and I'm very excited because he's a scoundrel and his heroine is a blue stocking. Anyway, I'm going to do some filming notes for tomorrow, and then I think I'm going to go to bed so I can go to Pilates first thing. Good morning. I've rolled out of bed. I did not go to Pilates because I am so tired. So yes, do I kind of hate myself? Yes. Yeah, I do, but also extra sleep is always good. So I'm gonna fix up the mess of my hair and put on some makeup and do my morning filming, and then I think I'm gonna try and catch up on one of the workshops that I missed a couple of weeks ago today, and just put that on in the background while I do some things around here. Hopefully that all goes to plan. Here you go, bit of video inception, getting ready to film. This is always my view. So yeah, and also pile of books, giant mess over there. This is just how we roll. And we're done with filming. I don't know what my hair's doing today. We're going with it. But I was wearing my pink jacket before, and it's the first time I've worn it. So who knows if there's gonna be squeaky faux leather sounds in my video, but you know what, we'll just deal with it. Oh my God, let's just turn this way. Maybe, oh, that's better. Look at that lighting. So much better than the actual artificial light that's known over there. I filmed my wrap up and also my book haul for the month. And the other video for this week will be this vlog. So I'm going to find some breakfast and get this PD recording started just so I can knock it out, because it's going to be a couple of hours of work. So next update, tried to load my course, wouldn't load. So I'm just taking that as a sign to not do work this weekend and to just read. I'm going to go downstairs to the chocolate shop, get myself a hot chocolate, and come back and start the next book. I'm trying to decide whether to start off with King's Capture by Vivian Wood or to try The Immortal by Gina Showalter. I'm kind of thinking that I might end up not liking The Immortal, so I wanted to start that, and then if I need to DNF it, I can. I don't know, just a gut feeling, but maybe I'll end up loving it. I'll get my hot chocolate and then decide what I'm going to read. So I'm back with my fancy hot chocolate, which is ginormous, but I haven't bought one of these in ages. Okay, so I started The Immortal, and honestly, I'm 4% in, and like, how much do I have to read before I DNF it? And I'm actually going to I'm trying to get to 10 to 20% of the book, but I just keep cringing because, you know, some of the descriptions, so I'm assuming the hero is some kind of alien warrior thing, and the whole book opens basically with a bunch of kids, and I'm assuming the hero is one of them, being tortured for training purposes, and anytime they show fear, you know, they're punished. And so one kid is beaten within an inch of his life and threatened with being blinded or having his tongue cut out if he makes a sound or cries. And then I'm assuming the hero is the boy who is standing next to him, who likes the kid and is holding himself back from intervening, and is then picked on by the headmaster and is forced to kill his friend, which, look, I know bonkers books, but I don't particularly like this for the sake of it. I also don't like, there's parts of it that I don't agree with. And then we've just met the heroine, who is a harpy / nymph. I don't know, it's just the language. You know, if you're going to do a paranormal romance series, I think you can get a bit creative with your language. And to call the place where the harpies live Harpina, honestly, just makes me cringe. Like, I don't, maybe that's just me. Maybe some people find that cute. I just find it annoying. You don't have to name everything that harpies do after harpies. It's just weird. All right, I hit 10% and I actually have no idea what the hell is going on in this book. And so I think I'm just gonna say goodbye to it. And that's okay, because I did get it as an early release copy from the Bonkers Romance podcast, Temple of Defiant Joy. So I didn't pay anything for it, so I'm not worried about it. But I literally have no clue what the hell is going on. Time to read something else. I'm going to start King's Capture, which is supposedly a contemporary Hades and Persephone retelling. I think it's a billionaire or mafia type dark romance. I've also heard that even though it is kind of Hades and Persephone, it's not quite a retelling as you would normally expect, but is apparently good, but it does end on a cliffhanger. So already I'm like, do I want to read it? Let's just give it a go. Also, while I'm eating lunch, I am sort of catching up on some videos, and this is one of Kirsty's videos. She's from Upside Down Books, and last year she did some research into booktube and the booktube community and how it impacts the publishing world, and she is releasing a series of videos around her research, which is really fascinating. So she's an Australian booktuber and I absolutely adore her. I will leave a link to this particular video. This is the first one. This one is around how to be a booktuber and sort of how the community behaves and interacts with books and the publishing industry and all of that sort of stuff. So I will leave a link to that in the description down below. I really recommend that you check it out because her research is really fascinating. I have actually had a chance to read through her research document and it was really fascinating. Alright, so I'm nearly finished with, oh my god, what's it called? King's Capture. God, why can't I remember names? Anyway, I'm enjoying it. I'm 84% of the way in, so nearly done. And it is very loosely Hades and Persephone retelling, mostly names, but also, you know, Hades has kidnapped Persephone. He is an arms dealer. He works with his brother Eros and Ares, so that's where you have your Greek myth side coming in. And they are constantly being thwarted in their deals by a guy called Constantine. And as it turns out, they have the opportunity to hire the services, or get the services, I shouldn't say hire because she's not hired, she's kidnapped, hire the services of Penny, or Persephone, and she is an artist and art forger. And so they kidnap her from where she is hiding out in New Orleans because she used to date Constantine, and I get the feeling there's a larger age gap between the two of them. He tried to kill her by throwing her off some rocks at a beach and leaving her for dead. So she's hiding from him because he's not very nice, and then Hades kidnaps her, and then they end up hiding out in a bunch of places around the world because one, Hades has money, and two, Constantine keeps finding them. And we've just got to a part where we've found out a lot about their past. Like, Hades' father used to terrorize and beat his family growing up, so Hades has some hang-ups about that, and Persephone has obviously hang-ups about Constantine and also her family because her mother and her father aren't married. Her mother is her father's long-term 30-year mistress. I just got to a part in the story where Penny was explaining this to Hades in one chapter, and now we're about 2 chapters later and we're explaining it again, like he's forgotten this detail, and I'm very confused. Like, why is that happening? Like, that's an editing thing for sure, because it's the second time she's explained her parents' relationship to him, which is very weird, and it's just thrown me out of the story. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I want to finish the book, and then I think we might read Weather Girl this afternoon. Also going to do grocery shopping, but I've been doing all the laundry, and the dishwasher's been on, so I'll have to unpack that as well, and maybe do some video editing. So I finished King's Capture, and honestly, kind of feel a bit meh about it after all of that, which is annoying, but it is what it is. I don't know. It's weird. Like I said, there were some weird things, like in terms of editing of the book. I mean, overall, you know, it's not a bad story, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of people who enjoy it. It does end on a cliffhanger, so you have to read the second book. I'm not convinced that I want to. I don't feel particularly emotionally invested in these characters. One thing to note, there is a conversation around how Penny is not on birth control and they're not using condoms, and the deal is that he'll pull out, and there is one scene where he doesn't, and she cracks it at him and he's just kind of like, I'll get you the pill. And I don't like that tone that, you know, contraception is just a woman's responsibility. I think we can get past that, especially in romance books. I know it's a dark romance, but still. Anyway, it is what it is. So later today I'm going to read Weather Girl, and I will check in then. I'm going to do a bit of work between now and then. I did go for a walk. It was about half an hour. I have not been for a proper walk for weeks, so hopefully I can get back into it. But when you're feeling really meh about everything, leaving the house is really hard, especially when you have to leave for work and you're at work for a very long time and everything is just a mess. Hopefully we can continue this and I'll go for a walk tomorrow. I'm gonna have a shower and then I think I'm gonna sit down and read Weather Girl. All right, so I'm really enjoying Weather Girl. It's very, very sweet and also very touching and very real. So you have Ari, who is Jewish and is a meteorologist. She works for a news station, and the news station that she works at has two bosses who were once married and are now divorced and, you know, can't stand each other. And so she and her co-worker Russell decide to try and find a way to get them back together so that they'll be a little bit nicer to each other. And along the way they fall in love, and I'm 65% of the way through, and I'm just heating up the oven so I can put in the rest of the lasagna that I didn't eat last night for dinner. It's, you know, 20 to 7. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm hoping to finish this tonight. I think this will probably be the last book that I read for this vlog. I think 3 is enough, and there are some things that I really kind of want to mood read tomorrow, so this will probably wrap out my anticipated reads, which is great because these were all things that were on my start of year list, which, you know, was the main point of this, and everything else I will get to at some point. So anyway, I will check in after I finish the last, you know, 35% of the book. So I really love that, and it's definitely my favorite read from this vlog. It was just such a good story, and, you know, surprisingly emotional and deep while still being really fun and entertaining with lots of weather puns. The one thing I do want to point out that I really quite liked, particularly when Russell and Ari are first getting into their sexual relationship, you know, there's a lot of open and frank conversations, and Ari pointing out that, you know, she doesn't often come the first time she's with someone, and Russell listening to her and being responsive and trying to find a way to make sure she doesn't feel uncomfortable by something that's totally normal, particularly when we have a lot of romance books, and, you know, I don't have an issue with them, where, you know, everyone gets down to business straight away and has no issues, and that's totally fine. But that's also not the reality for a lot of people, and so to have that representation in a book was great. And also, you know, I'm not a huge fan of third act breakups, and this one has a pretty big doozy of a breakup, which has a lot to do with Ari self-sabotaging herself and her relationship because of her history and her history with her mother and her parents. And, you know, that was really tough to read, but it also read true. And thinking a little bit about my own mental health as well, going, you know, that's totally something that I would probably do as well, because she was trying to protect herself, and in the end she ended up hurting herself far more than anyone else could have. This is well worth checking out if you haven't read it. A very enjoyable read. It's not very long. It did take me a little bit longer than a book this length normally would, but that's just because it had quite a bit more depth to it in terms of really digging into the mental and emotional health of some of these characters. But I actually really liked everyone in this book. So cheers. This has been a good reading vlog. I've gotten a couple of books off my list, DNF-d book, and, you know, very, very happy to always make my way through my list. So thank you for joining me. In the comments, I'd love to know if you've read any of these books or if you're planning on picking them up. Otherwise, I will chat to you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.